Welcome to Mentors.
Hi there. Welcome to Mentors. I'm Kiki Winters. Today we have Elaine Williams. She's a video performance coach, a keynote speaker, and a best-selling author, and a very funny comedian. So some of her credits include Saturday Night Live, HBO, ABC, NBC, Fox, New York Post, and the Huffington Post. So please welcome Elaine. How are you today?
Hi, Kiki. Thank you. I'm good. I'm so excited to be with you.
I'm happy to have you too today and spend some time with you. So I wanted to let you know what a great MC you are and a great comedian for our Sky Pony Gallery Comedy and Cocktails last week. So thank you for doing that, and we had such a fun time.
We did. Thank you for having me. The vibe was like so high. And it was just so funny because Monday I had did two networking things and people kept talking about the event. So I always feel like we did a good job if people are talking about it days later. So, and your space is so beautiful. I
Oh,
can't wait to come back because I was taking pictures and videos and several people were like, "That place looks amazing." I'm like, "You got to come. You got to come." So,
oh, thank you so much. It was a great night. It
yeah.
was one of my favorites so far. So but the energy was great. And so I wanted to find out about, your life and how you got started in the comedy business and or anything you want to talk about today, but I just want to find out more about you, the
Okay, cool.
fascinating person of Elaine.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question. And I just celebrated, 25 years of sobriety. So this morning I was sharing my sobriety journey with at an AA meeting, and so
Yeah.
I always feel like that's a part of it. And but my intention is never to be like, "Yay, me." My intention is to share because I know it helps people. Um, I know that I grew up in a lot of dysfunction. My parents divorced when I was 4. My father remarried a crazy woman who was very traumatized. She was a survivor from World War II from former Yugoslavia, and she had a lot of trauma and was probably bipolar. And so living in that environment, and I was super sensitive. And so theater was like my saving grace. I did The Sound of Music, and I was like, oh my God, it's like family, applause, I'm in. And, that's when I really fell in love with performing and being on stage, and I didn't really know I was funny. I was always sort of doing musical theater and Neil Simon, but it's a whole nother thing to like stand up and try to make people laugh on command, right? And so, fast forward, I moved to New York City in 2000 from Austin, Texas. I had 2 degrees in drama, and I had been dreaming of New York City, the skyline. My heart would go pit-a-pat, so exciting. And I got sober as I was, being new there, which was crazy, Kiki. Everyone kept saying, "Don't change anything." And I was like I had to keep temping. I had to keep moving. The first 90 days they were like, "You cannot work in restaurants." And I was like, "I have no other skills. I know how to act and perform and wait to like." So I was temping, and I was, frustrated. Living in New York is hard, right? And you're like, how much is water? Like yesterday the water was $5. Today it's 10. Like the delis just make up prices. And anyway, and people kept saying, "You're funny." But I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just being like truthful in the moment, which is funny, right?
Yeah.
We laugh because it's true. We laugh because comedians say things everybody else is thinking. We laugh because we can relate. We laugh because we're surprised. And so I really wasn't trying to be funny, which made me funnier. And so casting directors, people just kept saying, "You're really funny. You need to lighten up." And I was like, what do you mean? Like,
Lighten up.
I was
You
so
mean calm
intense.
down?
Calm down, like no. Yeah, and so finally I took an improv class and then another improv class. And then when I did the stand-up comedy, Kiki, I didn't know how to write. I was going to open mics, which means you're around other new bad comedians, and it didn't occur to me, oh, maybe I should go watch some good comedian. I was running around, and so I would come to class and it was like crickets. And my teacher would say, Elaine, just put those jokes aside and just tell us about your family. And so that's kind of how I, finally started getting some laughs. But then the night of the showcase, I was like, just get through the showcase. Like, say you finish the class. I had no expectations. And so when I got to the dysfunctional family stuff and the whole room was like bent over howling, I was like, oh, my life made sense. Click. I'm supposed to help people who maybe won't go to counseling, who have grown up in with addiction or alcoholism, who've been abused or neglected or whatever. Because when you can laugh at it, you're winning, and you can show people that you can acknowledge it and heal from it, and you don't have to let it define you. And so that's when my life really made sense. And that was right at 2005. And luckily I don't know if this is like for you, Kiki, but I just felt compelled to keep getting on stage. I didn't fully understand it. I didn't know where I was going with it. I didn't know I was going to become a professional speaker, but I just knew I had to keep getting up on stage and trying to make people laugh. And so that was the beginning of this long journey that I'm still on. Um, and I would love to, if I can keep going for a minute, if that's okay with you. You know, I've had two, I've had many great mentors, but I've had two women in particular who literally like saved my life. And again, I'm sharing this because you just never know, for anybody who's listening or watching, you just never know how taking the time with somebody, especially a teen, uh could literally save their life. So like I'm growing up in this crazy family and I'm always in trouble even though I was a straight A student, and my brother kept wrecking cars, but I was the one in trouble. And my stepmother and I got in this huge fight. It was just a really rough time. And my choir director kept like advocating for me. And so I had gotten in trouble with the principal because my stepmother had lied, and my choir director took me after school and said, we're going back to see Mr. Pierce. And she just saved me. My mom had taken off to live in Europe, and Miss Bircher was like my mom. And Miss Bircher passed away last May in 2024, and people flew in from all around the world to be at her funeral because she was like that for so many of us. One guy flew in from Russia, somebody else flew in from Washington State, I flew in from Jersey, like, and we were all sitting around. We practiced this song that we sang, "The Rhythm of Life," and we were all just talking about how she'd made such a difference, and like where we might have ended up had it not been for her. And she was like famous in Dallas for her musicals and her choreographer Patty Hardman, who I owe a call to. And so, I'm just so grateful for the time and the energy she poured into me that I so desperately needed. And then I had this other amazing mentor, Patty Milligan, who was my choir, I'm sorry, my horse trainer. So for a short amount of time, we had the privilege of having our own horse. My sister and I, we shared him, and Elegant Ensign, and it was a saddlebred, and we got to go to all these shows. And Patty taught me focus, discipline, not giving up. If you make a mistake, make up for it. And she, some things were happening at home that were not good for a teenage girl to be having. And she was the first person who said, you can say no. Like I just grew up without boundaries, and I didn't know that I could say no. I had no sense of self, and so she taught me so much too, and I'm so grateful that I got to thank both of them numerous times as a sober adult and saying, you made a huge difference in my life. And my dad passed away, and we did a memorial for him in March, Kiki. And that was my call to action for everybody at the memorial, because I don't think my dad knew what a difference he made. So I said to everybody at the memorial, like, call somebody this weekend. Why do we wait until funerals? Like, let's tell people while they're still alive what difference they made, you know? So,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, beautiful thing to say. And you're right. And you know, that's what this program is all about, is to, show people how many times that you could have given up if you hadn't have had those people in your life. And what a beautiful memory to
Mm.
hold of people who have helped you to get where you are today. So thank you for sharing that. And and I know that you must mentor a lot of people, even whether you know it or not, because you're a video performance coach too. So you want to talk about that, or
Well, sure. And I think also, in my experience, a lot of people have fear of being bullied, right? Because of the social media. People, you put yourself out there and only knows what's going to happen. And then the worst bully is usually ourselves, right?
yeah,
Um, but I tell myself, like, my mission is to help heal the world. One video, one story, one joke, one client, one speech at a time, and to help elevate and raise laughter and awareness and healing, right? And obviously that's in different forms. And one of the ways I do that, Kiki, is I try to be really open about my sobriety journey, my abuse in the past. Not that I tell everybody all the time, but if I feel like it's appropriate, and I've just been very open about, like, hey, I'm going to go to my AA meeting. It helps me be more positive and open-minded and not so in my head. And so through the years, I have sort of accidentally helped people get sober. Like, I've had so many waiters and comics and other people call me out of the blue and say, Elaine, I got sober and you were part of that. And I'm like, really?
oh,
Oh, cool.
oh,
You know,
God.
bonus, right?
Yeah,
Because, and because sometimes people hide it, or maybe I think people think, well, if you're drinking every day or if you're drinking every morning, but there's all different ways. The basic, the definition of an alcoholic is like, whenever you do drink, you have the personality change. So it could be once a year, or it could be every day, or it could be once a month. But there's some of us, we know, like, I do stupid stuff when I drink. I should probably not do this, but sometimes it's hard to quit. But anyway, so that's one way I've sort of accidentally mentored people. And again, like, not like yay me, I just share my process. And then I do that with video and with speaking too, because I don't know about you, but I've been performing my whole life, and I know so many tips and tricks and insider nuances, and I forget. We forget how much we know. And so one of the ways I love helping business owners, mostly female and a few smart, conscious guys, is, you know, um, I talk a lot about coming from the inside out, right? Because if you waited to be perfect, you're never going to get on stage. You're never going to press the button, right? There's
yeah.
always going to be a new wrinkle, oh, look, there's some more gray or whatever, right? There's always, I had ice cream yesterday, so I look puffy. Like, there's always a million reasons to put it off. And, I always try to come from that why, to use my story for good, right? And And so that's what I work with my clients about is when you're connected with your mission, it's so much bigger, right? It pulls you
Yeah,
forth past
truly.
the wiggly niggly. I don't like the way, right? So, yeah, and I do that lots of ways. I can be I call it my like sort of like my stealth shooting. So I had a client who was very much an introvert and she flew in to make content and I would just be like, "Hey, tell me a story." And I'd like futz with the lighting and I had pressed go, but I didn't tell her. And I just kept saying like, "Look right here." And then she's like, "Are we making a video?" I'm like, "Maybe, just keep talking." Because some people it's going to help them to just be super casual and as opposed to lights, camera, action, go. Like that can be
Right?
like anxiety producing, right? And
Yeah.
so I love working with people to help them stay like conversational and you're just leaning in and talking to the camera like it's a dear friend you're having coffee with. And
Yeah.
so
That,
yeah,
that's great.
I love that. I love it when my introverts call me and they say, I started a podcast and it's all your fault. I love that.
I love that too. Wonderful. Well, and what about your best-selling books? Do you have
Oh,
tell me about your writing?
oh, sure.
Uh,
Uh, and,
Go
I'll say this to anybody listening. The first couple of books, I go through this thing of like, oh, this is stupid. Nobody's going to want to read this. Everybody knows this. Who am I? All that stuff. And I've gone through that in the group books too. And luckily, I've had deadlines and editors, so you keep going. And then when you have somebody go, "I loved your book," or "Your book really helped me," or "I love what you said with da da da," then you're like, "Oh, cool." So, it's such a good feeling. So I did my first book that was talking about addiction warning signs, and it was aimed at college students, and it was a tip book. And I said, I hope this is on everybody's toilet, because if you think you might have a problem, you don't want anyone seeing you read a book in case you have a problem. And so, it's a great, it's a really good book anywhere in the house, but it's to help college kids, but really anybody who, if you're worried about somebody and it has resources and tips and stories and stuff. And then my second book I did on sexual uh, sexual assault awareness, prevention, and response, because I was talking about this on college campuses and military bases way before Me Too was so mainstream. And I thought, I didn't want to do this, Kiki. I was like, I want to be funny. But my agent and other people kept asking me, can you talk about this? Because that's part of my experience growing up and then my freshman spring break in Padre. And I thought, I prayed about it. And I thought, if I can save one person from addiction, depression, cutting, suicide, I must if I'm being asked. And so that book is just some tips because the first, like, we're in it. This is called the red zone. It's the fall semester. It's when all the freshmen who've never been away come to college. And it's so exciting. But unfortunately, the predators target the new and experienced freshmen. Sometimes they're 17 or 18 and they haven't been around alcohol or drugs or whatever. And so just to help raise awareness about safety of like don't leave your drink unattended. Go out with your party buddy, come home with your party buddy. Think it through before you go in a car with people you just met. Don't jump on the back of a motorcycle, like and it's because it's unrealistic to tell kids don't party. Like that's part of the whole college experience. But I'm like, you can do it in a safe way. And and
cool.
every time I was talking about this, people would say, you really need to be in high schools. And I was like, I know, but it's a tough topic, and a lot of people just don't want to like deal with it.
That's
So
true.
anyway, so there's my first two books, and then I did group books. So I did one on the healing power of laughter and how you can raise your vibe, whether it's a workplace culture or a relationship or whatever. And then I did one on my foibles with real estate because I wanted to have my own female comedy club in New York City. And I thought, I'm going to get into flipping houses so I can flip houses by day and do comedy by night. And then the economy tanked, and I had four houses at the top of the, it was lots of tears, but you cry in yoga and then you get up and you go back to work. So yes, those are, and then I have another one called Hospitality with Heart because I've been in the restaurant business forever. And I think people need that. And we need to be teaching it and talking about it because people come for the food, but they come back for the experience, for the people to be seen, like where everybody knows your name, like Cheers, right? And I
Right.
think we're missing that element in a lot of hotels and restaurants these days.
That's for sure. Well, I
Yeah.
know that you affected me, when we first met. It was like, um, you're at a certain level of excitement anyway, and then when I met you, it's like, whoa. So anyway, you are a great person to be around, and so I can see why, you have written all these books to, and also with your background, it's like you're kind of being the mom for people who didn't have the upbringing that you had desired, really.
Right.
So that's
And that's
good.
so healing, right? When you get to be the parent you wish you had had. And even though I'm not a mom, but I know that I'm a nurturer like you. And I think, I have a deal. Like I should have been dead many times. And so I one of my commitments of giving back is like if somebody has a troubled teen or really anybody, I will talk to anybody, if they want me to, because that's just part of the 12-step world is you give back.
That's so true. And when you do give back, I mean, even if you don't have this intention, but you get it back.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a flow of energy back and forth. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you mentor many people and not even know it, but and then when you hear it, it's just so rewarding to know that you've had an influence in someone's life. It's a wonderful thing, especially, you talked about going to your the funeral and the joy that this woman brought so many people. And it's like it makes you want to make something of your life and to be that person, that makes a difference in people's lives. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Kiki, isn't that why we're all here?
it
I
is.
mean,
Yes,
yes,
it is.
and I get like I can get stressed out about money in 3 seconds flat, right? But at the end of the day,
Right.
it's like why I think we're here to learn our lessons. And Louise Hay says, what if the whole point is to be able to expand our capacity to love and be loved? Like, what if that was the whole point of this whole thing? And that's
Yeah.
that's powerful to think about.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Louise Hayes has been a major part of my training too, and just day-to-day activities and
Yeah,
yeah.
I got to meet her once and take a
Well,
picture with her, and that was cool. That was very cool.
yeah, a mentor for both of us on our path. I
Yeah.
I can tell for you too. So, is there anything upcoming that you have that you would like to mention here on camera?
Oh, sure. So, I am working on a new uh, a video program that I'm rolling out again, and then I also do one-on-one speaker coaching, and that is very personalized to each person what they need, and it is my greatest joy to watch people bloom and blossom and grow, and you can really help somebody transform quickly, when you're working with them closely. And the same for the short form video. And I'm also delighted to remind everybody that have another Sky Pony Comedy and Cocktails show coming up Friday, September 26th. And I have a feeling it's going to be standing room only. Like it was, I have so many people are like, I need to come to the next one. And, it was just a really joyful night. And, I can't wait. And I know I have some more comedy coming up, but that's enough. I don't want to overwhelm people.
You've got an interesting life, and I know I want to hear more. But yeah, we're excited to have you back in September too for Comedy and Cocktails. So
Can I
let's see.
ask you, Kiki, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you had so many great stories about being, this hippie mom in Highland Park with your van. I mean, it was just your writing is so great. And I kept thinking, are you an artist? Is that how you got into the whole gallery thing?
Oh, yes. My art is on the walls at Sky Pony. Um, and let's see. I started off as an artist. Oh, I guess I was working at the YMCA, and I just kept feeling like, um, I was trapped. So that wasn't really appealing to me. And so I asked my grandmother if we could just start a business together. So she was a real estate agent and she had some houses. And one of the houses we turned into a business in DeSoto, Texas. And then she gave me a room, and I would just start off with my art in that room and fill it. And then the rest of the house was antiques and things that she had. It was a really cool place. And then I opened up my own space. It was called the Toadstool, and it was at Park Forest Shopping Center in Dallas. I taught weaving, macrame,
You were doing macrame and
macrame,
weaving.
writing books on macrame and weaving. So then I went into the art show business, and I really bloomed with the art shows, and I did that for many years. Traveled the country in an RV and a trailer with my art, and so that's how I got started with art. And then had a brief intermission and started doing writing and comedy, a little bit of acting, and then on to meeting Doug, and then boom, we had an art gallery and moved into Willow Bend. So here we are at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas, and so we've had a great run there. And
Been there 10 years, is that right?
2016 at
Okay.
Willow Bend.
Okay.
Before that, we opened originally in 2011 at the old Valley View Mall. The owner wanted to turn it into artist, so Doug and I were the art directors, and we filled it with over 40 art galleries with artists everywhere. So that was herding cats, but it was great fun and, a little bit of not fun at the same time.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that true for every business? Like there's always like the things you love and then the things that you're like, adulting.
Yes, I know. But that's how we learn. It's like, here, take this lesson, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, and learn from it. So that's how spirit works. So,
I know. I'm always like, can we slow them down just a little bit?
well,
Oh,
I want to thank you so much for being with mentors today. You are a great mentor. You're my mentor, and
oh,
I
thank
just
you.
love what you do. I love your energy and your fun. So I can't wait to see you again.
Oh,
And
thanks, Kiki. Thank you so much for having me. And can I leave? I just want to, if anybody's listening and you have this resonates and you want to mentor or coach or whatever, like just remember, like nobody does it like you, and share your voice and your story however you're called to do it, because even if somebody's heard something a million times, they haven't heard it from you, and I love to remind people of that. So
A beautiful
yeah.
message too. And we're going to have your link and description in the description below this video so people can contact you. So thank you, Elaine.
Thank
It's
you,
been
Kiki.
great.
Thank you so much.